What's up, all my folks out in YouTube land? Daryl, also known as the Finisher. Today we got two drywall repairs on the same ceiling. This one right here is the first one, of course. This one was cut so they could fix the plumbing. Then there's another one that the homeowner, that her husband tried to repair, and he didn't do the greatest job. But that's all right, because drywall, everything ain't easy. If it was, I wouldn't be in I wouldn't be in demand out here in these streets. You know what I mean? And I like to show something like this because in a lived-in house, the first thing I always do is set up some sort of plastic barrier or zip wall if it's necessary. Now, the homeowner is about 15 feet away from me, sitting in the family room, like, we're talking to each other from time to time. So, so the idea of walking into somebody's house, putting up no barrier, telling them that, hey, it gets dusty, throwing my hands up and getting dust all over their house is insane to me. I don't know how y'all do it. I know some people out here blowing dust all over these people's houses. It's insane when you can do this fast. Plus, in this situation, they were moving, so I know her husband was gonna be in and out of the kitchen, so I made two different barriers and just moved it when I needed to do the second one instead of making one big one. This is what I always do though. First thing I do is I measure just a little bit over the hole. See how big the hole is? I go a little bit bigger than that, put my piece up there and cut it out. I don't have time to sit here and try to, measure and try to cut a piece that's gonna fit exactly in that spot. You don't have to go and measure from stud to stud and all that stuff that I've heard people say before. Totally unnecessary. You need to be able to put a piece up, make it secure, and then make those lines disappear. That's the biggest part, man. When you're done, you should not see the repair. You shouldn't see it. Matter of fact, the only way you should see it is if somebody didn't paint over it right. Some people will brush it and some people will roll over it with a different pattern of roller. And like I said, where I live, it's all painted ceilings. But well, let me not say all, because you know how it goes. So it's the vast majority of the ceilings are painted. So if I had to do textured ceilings, or if I had to do textured walls or whatever, then it's actually less steps. I think. I mean, I've done a lot of patch on textured walls and ceilings, and there's less steps. I don't have to wait for it to dry or get it as smooth or nothing like that. So, but when you got to do it this way and it's gonna be painted and it's basically a level 4 repair and it's a ceiling, I mean, you got to be able to get that thing perfectly smooth, all right? Which brings me to my subject, and it actually is about drywall, which I always call drywall is the ultimate skill in the handyman business. And everybody might not agree with me, but I truly believe this. I truly believe that learning how to repair drywall makes the world open up. The different kind of things you could do open up so much. But check this out real quick. I wanted you to look at this repair. Now, like I said before, this does not have to be a perfect square, perfect rectangle. It just needs to be able to hold the drywall up and be seamless once you put the repair in. I usually use 3 to 4 inch furring strips. I mean, I keep all kind of, if I ever use 1-bys for anything, I keep extras. I keep all this stuff so I could just use it later because I do tons of repairs. Lights like this, anytime I do recessed lighting, sometimes I have to cut it out and redo it. I had to do that on the second one. You'll see that soon. But this one, I was able to get it to where I didn't have to do that, which was great because I didn't really feel like having to cut both lights out. But yeah, making sure it's tight, and we're going to put this patch up. But like I was saying, having drywall repair in your arsenal and being able to have it where you can fix things to perfection, it's just, to me, it's the handiest tool because then that opens up everything else. I'm gonna be realistic. Why should somebody call you, right? Just think about that. Why if I don't know, if a customer needs a ceiling fan, why should they call you instead of an electrician? They need a plumber repair. Why shouldn't they call a plumber, right? Why should they call you instead of a plumber? They need lighting, just whatever they need. Why should they call you? And I'm gonna be honest with you. Historically, I mean, you already know the answer. Historically, they call a handyman because they think it's gonna be cheaper. They think they're gonna get the same work for a cheaper price, right? That's the history behind this thing. We're changing it now. That's all part of this. All part of Handyman 2.0 and us taking this step to another level of perfection, working in houses and not getting dust all over people's houses. They look at this, when I walk in here, even if I'm just doing drywall, the drywall repair, I'm doing an expert I'm an expert. I'm doing expert drywall repair, right? That won't destroy your house in the process because I care about your property. That's the new handyman. That's what we do now, right? But historically, that's why people call you. So you have to have something that sets you apart, right? Sets us apart from the other contractors. They have their specialty, you know, whether it's a plumber, electrician, whoever, HVAC guy. But what's our specialty? Our specialty is that we get it all done. Now, this is the second repair. This kind of looks like my first repair when I lived in my house. This is years back, and it's the reason why I found out it's a bad idea to just sand down drywall, because my wife let her little brother and cousin do the mud on a patch of drywall. I didn't know how to do it either, but they did it. They put a thick layer, so I was like, man, I just sand it down. Man, I had dust all over my house, even upstairs, for like 2 weeks. He tried to cut around the light. I get it. It's difficult, man. That's why they call this, because it's hard. So, and there's something else I'm not sure if some of you guys noticed another issue right now, but I didn't even notice it at first, man. I was so focused. But first thing I do, just like with this, the other one, man, I put that piece up, measure it out, start to cut it out, and then we get it started, because it's much easier to me on something like this. I'm not skim coating this thing, man. It's terrible. I just cut it out and start over. And it's just much easier that way. But yeah, you know, I feel like you develop a system where, you know, you do multiple things. I mean, that's what we do. We're multifaceted, man. That's why I love that full quote. The jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes greater than a master of one. Because that's where your value comes from. And a lot of times it's more valuable to have that. It just is. It just is. If they can make one phone call and get professional level quality projects. y'all see this part right here? I don't think I've ever seen this. I didn't even notice this at first. Yeah, he put the drywall in upside down. Had the purple facing up, and I had to give him a all right, enough of that, man. You know, hey, we all got to learn somehow, right? I mean, that reminds me of the first time I tried to fix the sink in the kitchen. It was years, I don't know, 15 years ago, but we had a leak in the sink, and I had never done plumbing in my entire life. But I was looked under, like, you know, how hard can this be? Man, I tried to fix that thing, and it was leaking worse when I finished, to the point where I just put a bucket under the sink, and I was just like, this is just how it is from here on out, family. We're just going to have everybody, we're just going to have to empty this bucket out. Because I was still refusing to call anybody. And then my wife was like, come on, man, you better than that. And eventually I did figure it out. Now, right here, boom, boom. I tap it a couple times. If I know the recessed light's in place where it needs to be, so it creates a little bit of an indent, so I know exactly where to cut that hole. Makes it much easier to me. I mean, I could just measure it from the sides and all that, but I mean, I try to do, you know, not measure if I don't have to. But yeah, so, you know, we all learn, and, you know, I've had to laugh at myself, and I've been laughed at before at my repairs and stuff that I've done previously, so it is what it is, man. But, yeah, but once you get through that part, it's the same as the other repair, you know, so we just keep it going. But like I said, man, we are multifaceted. And to me, for my business, the backbone of my business is drywall repair. It didn't start out that way, but it absolutely is now. Because I can walk in with confidence knowing that, look, I can fix whatever I do, I can fix it to perfection. So I can call and talk to the customers, say, hey, don't be scared. So many people are scared to open up drywall because they've seen disaster repairs, man. Just terrible stuff. Where I walk in and they like, I walked in houses and they're explaining to me like, yeah, I had this repair done, and I've stared at it because I seen it from the time I walked in the front door. I knew you got it. Yeah, I see it. Like, you know, but they tell me whether, you know, people have told them that this, you know, it's not going to look perfect, but that's not acceptable to me. They don't do it. So like I said, the backbone of my business is drywall repair, and it's because it helps me it helps to make it so that I can do anything else. Right. So Not everybody wants to do it. I get it. It's messy. You can get a little dusty, little mud on you. There's a lot of people who don't want to pay for drywall repair, but you have to, I'm a salesman, and I feel like in this business, sometimes you got to be a salesman. So I sell people on why they need to pay me to do drywall repair, why they need to pay me an expert top dollar. Stuff like, you know how it goes. You walk into a house that's for sale, and you walk down the hall and you see a patch in the ceiling. That's a red flag. Red flag if I see something that's been patched. And we know that. Even if it's a plumbing repair that happened, we still thinking there's something shady behind that. Man, somebody did something. It's still leaking. It don't matter if it's a 10-year-old repair. That must still be leaking, man. Something happened up there. And I don't trust it. And you got to sell that. That's your worth, man. At least that's what I do. Because, But I love it. I love it so. All right, y'all. Check this out. This is now, I didn't get to record doing the other 2 layers, but this is my the last day. I put a barrier all around, one giant barrier. And of course, whenever I do that, it's not just a barrier, y'all. You got to cover the floor, cover the countertop. So, plastic has to be part of your cost, right? So this is after I put the 2 extra layers of mud on. Showing you all around the barrier, and then look up there, okay? So I got all my layers done. They're completely dry. This is actually because we had to schedule a few days later. Now this time I don't have my super sander, man, my vacuum sander, because I had to go to another job after this. Didn't involve drywall, and I didn't want to have to take extra tools, right? So I'm hand sanding this, man. I'm going old school with it. But it's all right, because you know what? I'm a grown man. So you get a little dusty, you just walk around looking like money, as far as I'm concerned. But what I do, I take the flat sanding block, or sand, the bigger sanding block, and kind of get it real smooth, so real flat. And then I take a sanding sponge, and I go around and get all the little imperfections, and I get the edge nice and smooth. So I'll go over that edge, then I'll reach out, and I'll touch it with my hand, feel around, make sure that it's, nice and smooth, that you can't feel any transition. And I got that bright light. That light is not flashing. That light is actually doing that because it's the camera. It does that whenever you got drywall dust falling and whatever. It does something with the light. I don't know. I'm not a camera expert. I just hit record, man. But yeah. So in this situation, that's what I do, man. I just do around the edges. And it's not like, I'm telling you guys, it's once you start doing this stuff, that light I got is super bright. It doesn't take any time. It's just a little dusty. But guess what? No dust getting all over the customer's house, man. All the dust is being contained inside of my bubble. So, it's just how you perfect it, man. And, you do this, the customers see that. It's crazy to me that I have so many customers tell me, like, I've never seen anybody do that before. I have realtors that I work with. Never seen anybody do that before. I'm just like, I don't get it. So what are y'all doing? Y'all really just causing asthma attacks out here? Is that what we doing now? I hope not. I know that ain't what I'm doing, right? I don't know. I'm in the business. If you're going to be a professional about this, I'm going to treat the customer's house like my house. That means I don't want dust from one end of my house to the other. So set up a plastic barrier, man. It literally takes about 10 minutes. And, by the way, I don't think I mentioned, when I first start, now I should have said this before, is that I always use hot mud. Always use hot mud when I first start. So when I'm taping, I use hot mud, and then I use +3. I use +3, the lightweight compound, as a finishing topping. All right, so it makes it it's pretty easy to sand, and that makes this a pretty easy job. Like I said, you're gonna get a little dusty, but whatever, bro. Like I said, we grown men out here. I'm not really trying to hear about that you get a little dusty and you don't like to get dust on your clothes. Man, you can get out of here with all that. But if you don't like to do it, just in general, you just, you got your other things, ain't nothing wrong with it. This is just what I do, so it's what I prefer to do. I mean, there's many ways to do this. My man Alan over at, the YouTube Handyman, he likes to do small projects, ain't nothing wrong with it. I told you before, my man Ray over at Bulletproof Handyman, he likes to deal with property managers. There's all sorts of ways to run this business. I do medium-sized projects. Sometimes I do one-off things like this. This is just a drywall repair. I'm just saying, just like with all of it, anybody who does this stuff, if you're going to do it to a professional level. And if you're going to do drywall, don't get dust all over everybody's houses. That's it. It's not a high bar. You know what I'm saying? It seems like a low bar. You know, get your sanding, get your technique perfected, and there's money in it. It is one of those things where, you know, people do not like to pay. A lot of people don't like to pay for drywall repairs. So it's more of a marketing thing where when you're finally able to charge enough to justify doing it. Because certain jobs I stopped doing. I'm not going to lie to you. I used to do a lot of backsplashes, and I stopped doing them because I guess maybe there's so many people out there that are doing for cheap. It just wasn't worth it. To me, I could literally hang paintings all day and get more money than I could for doing backsplash. Like, what are we talking about? I got to break out a wet saw and do all this stuff, and no, not happening. So I'm saying perfect your skills, get professional with it, get you a little zip wall dust barrier, and take care of your customers' houses, man. Make some really good money. Look at that, man. I'm telling you, no primer or nothing yet. It's just sanded drywall. Y'all know when you paint over that, you put some primer over and paint, it's going to disappear. You won't see a thing. You can hardly see it now. Daryl, also known as a finisher. Stay safe, be blessed, and remember, if the trades don't work, nothing else does.